A speakerphone that's also a hub? Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out this. It's really cool. This is the Newline NEWPIE dock. It's a speakerphone, as you can see, but it's also a hub. And so let's start with the hub technology. So it has 100-watt pass-through power. We'll test that in a second. It has 4K HDMI 2.0, and it also has 3 fast USB-A plugs, one of which is actually a USB 3.0, so it's super fast. And it has USB-C, 2 of them. So it has one that you plug in to your computer, and then it has another one on the side you can use for a spare thing, or you can use for power in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to get it as, power running through this into my MacBook Pro. And then we're going to run a second display. We're going to plug in a bunch of stuff. We're going to see how it all works. And then I'll switch to speakerphone mode. Now, the speakerphone features noise-canceling microphones that drop up to 45 decibels of background noise, so they say, and a 360-degree pickup. Now, when you look at this, you might think, so what's my use case if I don't need the speakerphone? And the answer is that actually this is great for road warriors, because when you're on the road, or maybe you're doing a co-working space or something, right? So you go into work and you just need a bunch of stuff, but you don't want to leave everything there. This just has multiple functions all built in. So you need to have a second display. You can, if you only have USB-C out on your computer, for example, you can plug it into this and then plug HDMI into this device. And now you're powering a second display. While you're at it, you can be charging your phone, you can be plugging in a flash drive, you can be plugging in an external drive. All of that's going to work. And then if you're on Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams or any of those programs, you can use this as your speakerphone. Still not enough? You want to listen to music? You can use this just as a speaker. So let's get this all hooked up and see how it goes. Now, first off, I have 100 watts of power coming into my MacBook Pro. And on the Macintosh, it turns out that you can go into a program called System Information, and it'll show you under power the wattage that it's getting from the source. You can see here that right now I'm getting 100 watts out of this. So what I want to do is I want to plug this in and then use this to route my power. So it comes with a nice 100-watt capable USB-C cable. And that's important because if your USB-C cable doesn't specify wattage, it probably maxes out at 60 watts. So if you have a 100-watt charger and a 60-watt wire, then you're going to get 60 watts maximum to your device. So you definitely want to keep an eye on that. So I'm going to plug this in with the included cable, and I'm going to try to keep my cables a little organized here. So I'm going to have this plug in on the right-hand side here. And then I'm going to plug this into the port that is outlined and that shows the connection to the computer. And in fact, while I'm doing this, let me just show you a little close-up. All of these are USB-A on this side, but the leftmost with the blue is USB 3.0, which is faster, then 2 USB 2.0s, then that USB-C that you use to connect to the computer. And then on the other side is that power in and that USB-C that helps power everything, and HDMI out. Now, the light has gone green, which means it has power, which is great. So now I'm going to unplug my computer, plug this in. So now the power is being fed through the Newline NEWPIE dock. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and let's just go back into that system information and see where we are. And you can see it's getting 90 watts of power. So this is tapping 10 watts of that power. That's really pretty typical. So still, we've given it 100 watts. It's feeding 90 watts into my computer. That's great. Now, with that plugged in, let's see what else we can do. Let's start with HDMI. And if everything is working correctly, then the monitor behind me should light up in a moment or two. There it is. It's a little bit of a less than bright picture. So let me just go here And I will open up a new window and I'll just drag it over there so you can at least see something. Maybe you go to Facebook home. There we go. Something that actually gives you something to see. And you never know with live demos what you're going to see, but there's that. So all that's working. Now let's plug in some things. I'm going to plug in a couple of flash drives. There's one. And assuming this all works, then all of these will show up on my Mac desktop. And then I'm going to also charge my phone while I'm at it. And I'm going to use that USB 3 port just for charging. And that's okay. That's good enough. So I'm going to plug it in. And my phone is now charging. You see that in the corner there. So it is getting power. So that's great. We'll let that charge while everything else is happening. And then I just happen to have this incredibly tiny little external SSD drive. So I'm going to plug this in. Oh, no, I don't have a port for it. So I'm not going to worry about plugging it in. I could plug it directly into my computer, but don't need to. So we're going to just leave that alone. We got everything here. And on my computer, I can see these drives have shown up, which is great. So now let's do this as a speaker for music. To do that, the first thing you're going to have to do is go into your system settings, whether you're on a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook or a Linux machine. It should work fine with all of those. Go to sound, check your output. So I have my output to the dock, and then I have my input also from the dock. So now I'm going to just go ahead and play some music, and let's hear what it sounds like. So it's nice and it gets really loud, or I can just drop it down. And I will say there's not a lot of bass because I can use it as a music speaker, but it's still tuned for the human voice, which tends to be mostly mid-range. So this does not compete with your $500 super fancy desktop speaker system with subwoofer. It's not intended to. It's not the same purpose, but you can hear it does a really nice job and it has a lot of crispness and clarity. Now, let's see if I can record my voice. And so now I'll just be using the speakerphone. And what you're hearing now is the speakerphone picking up my voice, and then it's routing it through into my MacBook Pro, which I'm recording with the Mac Voice Memos app. So you can hear the sound difference. This is plenty good enough for a Zoom call, plenty good enough for really any sort of audio use. And you can imagine if you're in something like Zoom and you set this for your input and your output, then it's going to work great. Oh, and by the way, it has. So if I push that button on the top, it mutes. Now, let me switch things back because that's going to make life easier for me. And I want to just also point out on the top are 7 different buttons, and I really like when they don't do this sort of endless multi-function button where it's 3 short pushes and 1 long push. It's just individually assigned buttons, and it makes it really easy to work with. And you can see here that you can enable or disable that power through, and then there's phone pickup or hang up, volume down, pause, play, turn off the speaker if for some reason you don't want to hear what the other person's saying or doing. And then the biggest button of all is the mute button. So it's all really easy to work with. And honestly, that's really everything I wanted to show you and demonstrate for you. I like this unit a lot. I like the fact that it is small and easy to carry, and that my flash drive fell out. It happens. So dimensions wise, it's 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 1.25 inch thick, and it's pretty darn light. I would say it's maybe about 2 times the weight of my iPhone, which is plenty easy to throw into your bag or your little computer kit that you take to the co-working space with you or something. You could use this honestly if you were somewhere like Starbucks or something, although I don't recommend the speaker side of it because that's going to be super annoying to people. But otherwise, pretty easy to work with, really well designed. I think they did a great job getting everything to work together smoothly, and it has a really nice build quality. So it's really everything you need to know, except I'm sure you're curious about the price. But before we get to the price, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to my channel. go ahead and click or tap on that subscribe button, and then also click or tap on that little bell icon, which gives you notifications so you'll know about new reviews when I post them. If you found this to be useful, I definitely appreciate a thumbs up and a like, so feel free to click on that and help me out with that too. Great. This is the Newline NEWPIE dock, speakerphone, and hub, and it's $199 at newlinework.com. And if you're someone who is on the road or is at offices around different places, or you just want to have an all-in-one unit that covers everything you need, this is really pretty darn hard to beat. I've seen a lot of speakerphones, I've reviewed a lot of speakerphones, and I've definitely checked out a lot of hubs, but this is the first one I've seen where they're integrated into one single unit, and that's some pretty smart engineering. So definitely one to check out. That's all I got. I'll hope to catch you in my next video.